Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use cloning for the first time to remove objects by painting over with parts of the same or even a different picture onto that area. So I'll give you an example. I've actually removed part of the picture already. I don't know if you can see where exactly I've removed, but if I use the Control Z button to undo, very quickly you'll see where the original comes back. So Control Z, and there we go. So I've actually removed all the shadow right from up to the under the eaves. And we Control Y, that'll redo. And I don't normally do that, but I just did that as a quick demonstration. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how to remove elements which possibly will enhance the photograph. So for example, lovely cottage, but the cones tend to annoy. You know, they tend to be too bright a colour, and they also take away the sort of uniqueness of the cottage in a way. So I'm going to remove. Let's start with the biggest cone. Just do a quick demonstration. So I'm going to remove the biggest cone. So quick reminder how to zoom in. We press Control and you use your wheel on your mouse. That will zoom in, and then of course you can use your navigator down in the bottom to recenter on the part of the image you wish to be in the center of the screen. Okay, so there's perfect example of something I'm going to remove. So I'm going to remove the middle part of the cone by actually putting the grass. So the grass I'm going to sample from over here. I'm going to actually replace the middle part of the cone with it. Likewise with the very top of the cone, I'm going to replace it with the brick wall from behind. I could alternatively use grass for that as well and just have a slightly sort of higher area of grass here. But I'm going to try and keep it as accurate as possible to what the original would have been without the cone in place. The road is more of an issue. The road is particularly an issue because certain colours, such as greys, show up a little bit better with the human eye than other colours. So I'm going to use as close as I can the grey from the roadway, which will then leave a thin area where both the road and the grass meet. And that's where you've got sort of like soil, you know, splashed up onto the side of the road and what have you. So I'll take an area, say from over there, and I'll put it across, which will camouflage the final piece. So let's go through step by step. So let's start with the bulk of it first. Let's go with the sample from over here. So to get a sample, oh, by the way, I've already selected the clone tool, which is over here. It looks a bit of a weird tool, but it is this one here. Now, you can use the healing brush in some situations to a better effect, but a healing brush is really good when you want to remove damage to a photograph. That's hence its name. So it's particularly good in that regard. But for day-to-day use, cloning tools is probably the better technique. So I've already selected that. I've already selected an appropriate brush size. So I've gone for the smallest of the soft edge brushes. I've gone for the quite a low heat hardness, and also quite a lowish force level as well. So it's not very low, the force, but it's quite low, only because I want to sort of soften the edging, give it a feathered edge, as we'd often call it, a feathered edge brush to give you that soft edge, so it will blend as much as possible into the original part of the image. So going back to where the sample's going to be, I'm going to hold down the control button. By the way, if you do come to do this, you'll probably find you've got the same mouse, but you've actually got this little circle with a line through. That is saying you can't do anything at the moment because no sample has been selected. As I had it a second ago, the sample I had from doing the roof was still selected. So that's now preventing me from painting the roof down here. So I'm going to take that sample there. Now I'm going to keep it in line with the original sample. So they're roughly the same height in the picture, because as I move around, I want them to move together. So both things will move at the same time. So the one painting will constantly change depending on the movement of the mouse. And then I also need to try and do it all, if possible, with one key press. If I let go, I need to come back to where I start. So again, I synchronize the two, both parts where I'm sampling from and where I'm painting to. So I'm going to press the button down, and as I move around, it's starting to paint. Now, because I'm using quite a low level of hardness and force, it takes sometimes a few applications just to build up the image, which I don't mind, but some people like it a little bit, increase the force so it builds up much quicker, which is absolutely fine. So I'm going to keep going over the same area a few times before it actually removes that orangey sort of tint. And that's not a problem for me. So here we go, nearly done. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, obviously, it looks a bit weird at the moment because you've now removed the middle part of the cone, but you've now left other bits. That's absolutely fine. Just to increase it a little bit easier, make it a bit easier, I'm going to increase my force just probably to the 30s. There we go. So now for the top part, I'll do the same. I'll find an area which is close to where the grass starts, but obviously gives you them brick behind. So I'll probably take that sample there, and then I'll use the same sort of area, which is about here, and I'll start removing that, and slowly that will come out. And you're much better going slowly at these things. That's it. I'm happy with that. If there's any little bits which are left over, you can do another sample and just do single clicks. I'm just going to put a few clicks in there just to blend everything together. And then for the roadway, I'm going to start somewhere reasonably close, but not too close, because it gives me a bit of a distance I can work with. If I go too close and I start moving in the wrong direction, it will start repeating the original image back in. So that can be an issue. So I'm going to go about here. I'm going to just start from the bottom and take out the bottom bit. Now I can't go that much further because the roadway basically will start to disappear, and I'll start basically, if I go intentionally too far, you'll see I'll end up painting the cone, will start end up painting again because I'm overlapping. So I'll undo that, let go, undo that, and restart that again. So again, I've sampled down there. I'm going to take the roadway away, the bottom of the cone away, and replace it with road. I'm intentionally leaving the element which is both covering the grass and covering the road. I'm going to replace that with a third selection, or a fourth selection possibly. If there's any which looks a bit artificial, you can just do single stamps. Sometimes it takes a couple of single stamps with small movements just to remove anything which, basically anything artificial, any sort of straight lines or sharp edges, you can remove that way. Right, and then the last part, I'm going to probably reuse this up here, or maybe a little bit over here, and then take it across, and that will basically give me that area which is neither road nor grass. Now I can't go all the way because I'm a little bit closer to the sample. Again, if I overlap, if I go too far, in this case to the right, I'll start painting back the original image. But that's fine. I can take another sample from the other side and do the same from the opposite direction. Okay. So I'll just zoom out and recenter the image. Okay. Now, most people think, oh, I know exactly where the cone was. I mean, obviously, you may have a copy of it in front of you at the moment on your own machine. But if I use Control Z to undo, you'll see exactly where the cone originally was. And if I redo, well, there you go. That's it, building back again. That's it. And if I redo, You can see pretty well how invisible that was. Okay, here I've zoomed in on the second cone. Same technique as before, slightly different, setting for this cone. For example, this cone has at the top a sort of brick wall, sort of coping stones at the top of the brick wall. So I'm probably going to use the same technique as before, but use different areas. So I'm going to probably take a sample of that top of that brick wall and come across just to remove the very top of the cone. There we go. And likewise, if I take a sample from, say, about there underneath that area, I can remove the bit below that. And don't forget, you can do single stamps just to remove patterns and such like. And then if I bring in the grass or the grass area, again I'm going to go for the same sort of height, so build it up in layers. So as I go up on the left hand side where I'm painting, it will be taking the sample from the right hand side, which will go higher and give me a new sample, or because I'm doing it in one operation with the mouse button pressed. I have to be very careful I don't go too far off where I need to be working. If I do, it might give me a few problems. Now the roadway, there's very little roadway, so I can just take a sample nearby. And then finally take a sample somewhere from the side where the grass and the road meet together. And away we go. Okay. Third cone now. Well, the third cone is pretty straightforward. So I can probably not even use the grass. I can probably just bring the road down to here. So this part of the road here, for example, I can bring that downwards. So that bit of road there, I'll bring it from the very top of the cone downwards to here. And that will basically cut off that corner. And it will look as if that part of the image is actually roadway now. So I'm just making sure I remove anything. Again, I'm going to go around, just do a few little stamps. I might go for a different source, again, just to change. And then if I zoom out, there are my 3 cones removed. Okay. And you can still see where the original source was there. So you can see the road now looks like it's now sort of coming over. Still got the same sort of general shape to it. The cone, which was somewhere around here, has disappeared, and that cone's disappeared. Okay, a few more things you might want to do to the image. You could, for example, remove the shadow here, which obviously is a reflection of the telephone wire or telephone pole, which is on the left, but it's actually off camera. You could remove those white dots. I've even known people to use the grass verge here and bring it all the way across to make it look like it's a field, removing all the actual roadway altogether, even removing the road, bringing this grass across so that road disappears, removing the cottage, removing these phone wires, which is straightforward. The tip with anything like phone wires is take your sample very close, but only move in one direction, so that because you don't go overlapping at all, but as you're moving along, that blue will vary continuously. So you want as close to the original blue as possible. But because they're next to each other and you're moving in one direction, you can actually do that without concerns of overlapping. So I'll let you have a play with the rest of it. And here we have the finished product. So I removed the 3 cones. I removed the shadow. I've even removed the little white lines down here. And I've removed the phone wire in the sky. And the final thing you could do, just to add definition to the updated version, is you could, for example, add a little bit of cloud to give it more definition. You could maybe replace things like the road with the grass, as spoke said about earlier, or even remove this road altogether, extend this brick wall down. You can do all sorts of things with this. You could even quite easily take the forest and bring the forest right across, so the house looked like it was set within the forest. So have fun.